Okay, so welcome to the series on aptitude presented by Mentors for IAS in association with Bangalore IAS Academy and Nama KPSC. So, this actually being our first video, let me just give you a brief introduction to aptitude questions. Now, this particular subject over here is actually designed to test a candidate's logic. Apart from logic, this particular subject will also test your reasoning abilities, your linguistic abilities, your comprehension skills, and also numerical aptitude. Now, basically, your syllabus includes comprehension, interpersonal skills, logic and reasoning, analytical ability, decision making skills, problem solving, general mental ability, basic numeracy, data interpretation, and English language. So, this is a short breakup of the various topics that will actually be included when it comes to your aptitude. Now, if you actually decide to prepare by yourself, more or less your timetable, that is the different topics that you should try and cover, should include all these things which are actually mentioned over here. So try and cover problems from all these topics if you actually prepare on your own. Next, a common question is, what about the source material? What about the books? Now, I would actually suggest that you not buy any particular book for aptitude. See, if you're actually good in maths, it's enough if you just practice from the test papers. If you believe that you're not good, you need more practice, then I would actually suggest just follow your teacher at any coaching institute that you're attending, provided that you are able to understand the concepts, and that should suffice. However, if you do feel that you do need books, if you have to practice more, there is some scope for improvement, then I would actually suggest you go for Dr. R.S. Agarwal. So you do have books for aptitude by Dr. R.S. Agarwal. You may opt to purchase aptitude books by Dr. R.S. Agarwal. If not Dr. R.S. Agarwal, you could also opt for Tata McGraw-Hill. However, again, I'm going to suggest please do not focus too much. Don't spend too much of time practicing too many problems over here because it is not necessary. As long as you're able to understand certain concepts, you should be able to solve almost any kind of problem or any kind of question which will be asked in your civil services examination or your state public service examination. Now, also, before we actually start, I would also like to give you a suggestion. See, when it comes to aptitude, many actually tend to focus on shortcuts. Many always tend to focus on shortcuts or tricks. Now, when it comes to aptitude, please let me tell you, do not focus on tricks or shortcuts unless you are preparing for banking exams, because when it comes to your civil services examination or your state public service examinations, you have something known as general studies where you already have to remember so much. So my suggestion is, don't use up this memory power for aptitude. Use this for general studies, because you have to score. You have to score when it comes to your general studies. Whereas when it comes to your aptitude, you should be able to score as long as you understand, and hence don't try to remember shortcuts or formulas as much as possible. Because if you start to focus only on shortcuts and tricks, you'll have to again remember all these things, then you'll find it difficult to remember other things when it comes to general studies. So when it comes to aptitude, I want you to understand, please understand the concept. If you understand the concept, it does not matter what kind of question that you get, it does not matter how the question is twisted, you should be able to solve it. It does not matter if it takes 20 seconds extra, it does not matter, but you should be able to solve it. Now, this is the basic idea over here. So if I'm going to take this video series on aptitude, I will not be focusing on shortcuts. I will not be focusing on shortcuts. Rather, the basic idea is to understand the concept so that it does not matter what kind of question that you get from any particular topic. It does not matter how the question is twisted. You should be able to solve it. Okay, now this is just a brief breakup of the various topics from which, or sorry, there's nothing but a breakup of the various kind of questions that were asked in previous years when it comes to your union public service, and that is your civil services examination or your state public service examinations. Now, this is just to give you a brief understanding on how to deal with this particular subject. See, if you are going to take your civil services examination or your state public service examination, you should be able to notice that comprehension over here. Okay, this is comprehension and English language. Comprehension over here makes up for the bulk of your questions. So anywhere around 30 to 50% of the questions may be comprehension or somewhere related to English. In order to prepare for comprehension or English language, there is no shortcut. You simply have to read more. It does not matter if it is newspaper, magazines, or even novels. It does not matter what. You should have the habit of reading so that whenever you read something, you should be able to grasp what is this particular paragraph or sentence trying to convey to you. What is the message? What is the meaning that is actually being conveyed to you? So in order to ace comprehension, you should be very good when it comes to English. There are some people who only focus on comprehension and they do not focus much on your aptitude part, that is your numerical mathematics part, because they are so good in comprehension that they should be able to score. However, I would not suggest that you focus that you depend entirely only on comprehensions. So now coming to your mathematics part. Okay, now many actually have this doubt, like how much time and effort should we devote to aptitude? Are all topics important? Should I practice problems from every topic? Now, in order to answer this, I would actually suggest that it will depend from person to person. There is no uniform answer to this particular question as to whether you have to prepare for each and every topic when it comes to your aptitude. Now, the best way to analyze is, say, take a previous year's question paper. Okay, take a previous year's question paper. Please do solve it. Solve it. Try to analyze how much time do you take to solve the entire question paper. On top of that, try to analyze your strengths and also your weaknesses. Now, if you are able to solve most of the questions comfortably, I would suggest do not focus on your weakness. Meaning, if you're weak when it comes to 3 or 4 topics, few topics, if you're not comfortable in few topics, when it comes to few topics, please do not focus on this. Just leave it. Only focus on your strengths. Because if you take your civil services examination, for example, you have 80 questions and you have to solve 80 questions in 2 hours. Now the problem is that it is difficult to solve all the 80 questions in 2 hours, and neither is it required that you solve all the 80 questions. So try to identify those questions, those kind of questions which are very easy to you. Say for example, if you give me any question paper, now I would never start with number series because I find number series a bit difficult, because the only way to ace number series is by practice, and I never find number series easy. So I will keep number series to the last, so that I will solve number series. If I do have time, I'll take it up in the end. So the idea is that try to identify those topics like data interpretation, or it could be reasoning, whatever it is, basic numeracy, whatever it is, try to identify those topics where you are strong, where you're comfortable, try solving them. You should be good. However, if you are finding it difficult to solve majority of the problems, then you have to practice more. Then yes, you have to spend more amount of time in order to improve yourself, because there is no skipping aptitude. There is absolutely no skipping aptitude. You have to score, you have to solve, and in order to solve, you have to practice. Practicing is the most important part when it comes to your civil services examination. So in this particular video series, what I will be doing is that I will try and take up each and every topic. We'll try to cover each and every topic. From each and every topic, I will solve anywhere from 5 to 10 questions. Now these 5 to 10 questions will be very simple questions. Now UPSC does not ask your CAT level or banking level questions. Okay, now they are simple. If you do have understanding, your 10 to 12 standard understanding, mathematics level understanding, you should be able to solve these questions. So from every topic I will take up anywhere from 5 to 10 questions which are very simple, which you should be able to solve. Plus I will focus on the concept rather than shortcuts. Also I will not spend too much of time on basics. Okay, I will not spend too much of time trying to explain basics because this is not your 10th standard or school class. So we will straight away dive into the problems. We'll try to solve a few problems. If you're comfortable, if you do like that particular topic, I would suggest solve more. That is the only way. Take previous year question papers, solve more, especially before the exam. Say for example, if your state public service or your civil services examination is in the next 2 weeks, then now is the time to at least solve a few problems so that you are in touch. So with this said, let us move on to today's topic. Okay, so today we'll take on problems based on ages. Now problems based on ages is actually an important topic because it is asked in most of the aptitude exams and forms a part of your quantitative aptitude. Plus it is actually a bit interesting. Okay, it's a bit interesting. So you should be able to solve problems based on ages with simple logic as long as you are good with linear equations. Now you cannot escape this. You have to be good when it comes to linear equations. Linear equations are very simple. I'm pretty sure everybody should be able to do it. Even if not, we'll do it together. Okay, so shall we start with the first question? Okay. Now here we have a question. Now the question says, Sachin is younger than Rahul by 4 years, and if their ages are in the respective ratios of 7:9, how old is Sachin? So now I have to find the age of Sachin. Now please understand the question. The question is not asking for Rahul's age, the question is asking for Sachin's age. Because many times what happens is the options are formed or what you call as laid out in such a manner that many times candidates are actually deceived. Even though they solve the entire problem, the options are such way that they will just give you out, they'll just deceive you, and you will end up marking the wrong answer. Please don't do that. Please understand the question and solve them accordingly, and also mark the option accordingly, because even after solving the entire thing, if you mark the incorrect option, instead of gaining marks, you will end up losing marks. Okay, so coming back to the question over here, let me represent Sachin's age as S. Let Sachin's age be S. Let Rahul's age be R. So now the question says their respective ages are in the ratio of 7:9. So then can I write S by R is equal to 7 by 9? Because the question says their ages are in the respective ratio of 7:9. So obviously S by R is equal to 7 by 9. Now this is fixed. Now the question also says Sachin is younger than Rahul by 4 years. So now what I will do is, let me assume Rahul's age to be X years. Rahul's age to be X years. So if Rahul's age is X years, then Sachin has to be 4 years younger to Rahul. Then obviously Sachin's age will be X minus 4 years. So the next step, what will I do? I will substitute R as X years here. And I will substitute S as X minus 4 here. So then what do we get? If I substitute S as X minus 4, I'll get X minus 4 divided by R is nothing but X is equal to 7 by 9. Now very simple. I only have to cross multiply. I take 9 over here. What do I get? I get 9x minus 9 into 4. 9 4s are 36 is equal to 7x. I take 7x to this side, left hand side. I take 36 to the right hand side. So I get 9x minus 7x is equal to 36. 9x minus 7x is 2x, which is equal to 36. Therefore, x is equal to 18. X is equal to 18. Now, here's the catch. Now, you have found out x. You have found out the value for x. Now, for example, if you're in your examination, you're actually solving this particular problem. You're in a hurry, you're under pressure. Now, what will happen? As soon as you get this answer x, you will go here, mark B as your option. But you do have to realize, you do have to understand, what does x represent? X is Rahul's age. What is the question asking for? The question is asking for Sachin's age. What is Sachin's age? Sachin's age is x minus 4. What is x? X is 18. So Sachin's age is 18 minus 4 is equal to 14 years. Now look at the options. I don't have 14 years. So the correct option has to be D, none of the above. But again, many of the candidates would assume that no, it's mathematics, it's aptitude. Generally, you would find an answer. You should be able to determine the value. Generally, it will not be none of the above. But in this particular problem, it is actually none of the above. The correct option, the correct answer is 14 years. It's not 18 years because the question is asking for the age of Sachin. So the correct answer is none of the above. Now, what I would actually suggest is, before every problem, you may pause the video, try to solve this problem by yourself. See if you are able to get the answer for it. See, when it comes to aptitude, when it comes to mathematics, there is no one particular method by which you have to solve. You may use any method to solve as long as you end up with the correct answer. Now, if it is for banking, you have to take note of your time. But if it is for civil services examination, I only want you to focus on the concept. I want you to focus on those topics where you're comfortable so that you can improve upon them. Don't fret too much on your weaknesses. Don't worry too much. Just sit, solve. You should be able to do it. Okay, so the next question, pause the video, try to solve it by yourself. Okay. Now, next question, second question. Now, second question says, the ratio between the present ages of P and Q is 5:7. If the difference between Q's present age and P's age after 6 years is 2, what is the total of P's and Q's present age? Now, please remember, the question is asking for the total of P and Q's age, that is P plus Q. The present ages of P and Q. So coming back to the question says the ratio between the present ages of P and Q is 5:7. So let me just write this over here. I have P, I have Q. P by Q is equal to 5/7. Okay, now this is fixed. Let me go to the next statement. Now next statement says, if the difference between Q's present age, okay, I'll take Q, and the difference between Q's present age and P's age after 6 years. P's age after 6 years. Meaning at present, if P's age is P, I am representing P's age as P. After 6 years, what will his age be? It will be P plus 6. So the difference between Q's present age and P's age after 6 years, that is P plus 6, is equal to 2. Now please do not forget to put this bracket, because if you don't put this bracket, you will just end up with Q minus P plus 6. Whereas if you do apply the bracket, what will happen when you open the bracket? You get Q minus P minus 6. So instead of minus, if you take 6, the entire solution will go wrong. So coming back to this equation over here, what do I have? I have Q minus P minus 6 is equal to 2. Or I can say Q is equal to, I take 6 to the other side over here, I have 2 plus 6 plus P. I also take P to the other side. So what do I get here? I get Q is equal to 8 plus P. 2 plus 6 is 8, I get 8 plus P. So finally I have Q is equal to 8 plus P. Now let me substitute Q as 8 plus P here. Now what do I get if I substitute Q as 8 plus P? So I have P divided by 8 plus P is equal to 5 by 7. So again cross multiply, I have 7P is equal to 5 8s are 40, 5 8s are 40 plus 5P plus 5P. I take 5P to the other side, I get 7P minus 5P is equal to 40. Therefore 2P is equal to 40. Therefore P is nothing but 40 divided by 2, which is equal to 20. Therefore P's age is 20. If I have determined the age of P, is it not simple for me to determine the age of Q? What is the age of Q? Nothing but 8 plus 20, which is equal to 28. Now the question is asking for the total age, P plus Q. What is P plus Q? 20 plus 28, it is equal to 48 years. So the answer is 48 years. Next question. Now the next question, that is the third question, says the ages of two persons differ by 16 years. Now let me represent the two persons as P and Q itself. Let the two persons be P and Q. So the question says the difference between the two persons is equal to 16 years. Okay. So let me move on to the second statement now. The second statement says if 16 years ago the elder one be 3 times as old as the younger one, then find their present ages. Find their present ages. Okay, so the next question, that is the third question. Okay, now the third question says the ages of two persons differ by 16 years. So let me just assume, let the two persons be P and Q. So the statement says the ages of the two persons differ by 16 years. So let me just assume the two persons to be P and Q. Therefore P minus Q should be equal to 16 years. The next statement says if 6 years ago the elder one be 3 times as old as the younger one, find their present ages. Once again, I'm just going to repeat this statement. If 6 years ago the elder one be 3 times as old as the younger one, find their present ages. Now please understand. Now the question is, the statement is saying that 6 years ago, if the present age of P is P, if the present age is P, 6 years ago it should be P minus 6. Similarly, 6 years ago the age of the other person has to be Q minus 6. Now the statement says 6 years ago the elder one, so P is the elder one over here because P minus Q is 16, the elder one is 3 times as old as the younger one. So 6 years back P was 3 times the age of Q. So I get another linear equation over here. So let me just open the bracket. So I get P minus 6 is equal to 3Q minus 18. I just take 6 to the other side. I have P is equal to 3Q minus 18 plus 6, or P is equal to 3Q plus minus 12. So I already have this one equation over here, which is P minus Q is equal to 16. I have another equation, 3Q minus 12 is equal to P. So let me just substitute for P. Let me substitute P as 3Q minus 12 in the first equation over here. Then what do I get? I'm substituting P as 3Q minus 12. So I have 3Q minus 12 minus Q is equal to 16. 3Q minus Q is 2Q. 2Q is equal to 16. I'm taking 12 to the other side over here. I have 12 here. Therefore, 2q is nothing but 16 plus 12. 16 plus 12 is what? 26, 28. Therefore, q is 14 years old. If q is 14, then I have to find out the age of p. P is what? P is P minus 14 is equal to 16. Therefore, P is nothing but 16 plus 14, which is equal to 30 years. Therefore, the present age of P is 30 years, whereas Q is actually equal to 14 years. Now, if you look at the question over here, it only shows the value for P actually. So, the option has to be 30 years. I'm sorry, it should have been find the elder person's age. Find the elder person's age. It is actually 30 years. Okay. Fourth question. Now the fourth question says, Rajiv's age after 15 years will be 5 times his age 5 years back. What is the present age of Rajiv? So let me just assume the age of Rajiv to be R itself. Okay. So what is question saying? Rajiv's age after 15 years. If the present age of Rajiv is R, after 15 years his age will be 15. After 15 years his age will be 5 times his age 5 years back. What was his age 5 years back? It was simply R minus 5. And this 15 years later his age will be 5 times his age 5 years back. I hope you are able to form this. See, until and unless you are comfortable in forming this linear equation, there is no scope in solving these problems. You should be able to read the question, understand the equation. Rajiv's age 15 years after, that is R plus 15, will be 5 times his age 5 years back. So if I open the brackets, I get R plus 15 is equal to 5R minus 25. So I take 25 to the left hand side and I take R to the right hand side. So I have 15 plus 25 is equal to 5R minus R. Sorry, this is just 25. Okay. 25 plus 15 is 40. Yeah. So this is 40. 40 is equal to 4R. Therefore, R is equal to 40 by 4, which is equal to 10 years. So therefore, the present age of Rajiv is 10 years over here. Okay. So these are the 4 problems based on ages. So if you do have any doubts in this particular topic, please do write to us in the comment section. If you want more problems on the same topic, also do write to us. If you want problems to be solved on any other topic, also do write to us. We will try and cover it. So thank you for watching. I hope you did learn something. Please do follow for the next videos. Thank you.